This week's Parsha is Parshat Korach, which is the 38th Torah portion of the Torah and the 5th Parsha in the book of Bamidbar. And in this week's Parsha, it really is sort of all about Korach and a certain circumstance that arises because of him. So essentially what happens is Korach and 250 sort of big men in the community come to Moses and they say, "Listen, Moses, you're doing a lot. You're doing quite a bit for the Jewish people. You have a lot of positions that you have filled. Why is it that you appointed your brother Aaron to be the Kohen Gadol, or the high priest?" So they were sort of accusing Moses of nepotism, of selecting people in his family, making it sort of convenient for his family to take on the leadership roles of the Jewish people. And they were sort of trying to come to Moses and ask him, what right does he have, or did God really appoint him? They were really questioning Moses' leadership. So Korach makes these accusations, and obviously it's upsetting to Moses. But Moses only responds with the words saying that sort of tomorrow God will decide who is supposed to be the leaders. And what's interesting about this is Moses could have said a lot of things. He could have said, well, God was the one who told me to make Aaron the Kohen, or, God was the one who came to me and told me to save the Jewish people from the land of Egypt. He could have responded in a bunch of different ways. He could have responded with anger, but really all he said was that the decision will be left until the next day. And what's interesting about that, and what I think we can learn from that, is that oftentimes we're going to be faced with something that might cause us to be angry, or where we will feel the need to sort of defend ourselves, or maybe somebody's going to ask us for advice and want our opinion. There are oftentimes these big questions that are going to come up, and there's sort of a question of what's the right response, especially when it comes to something that might anger us or that might frustrate us. And what we can sort of learn from Moses and from his response is that what we should do is put the matter aside and sort of save it for when we have clarity. So instead of responding immediately in the moment to, whatever makes us feel angry, it's better to put the issue to rest, get a night's sleep, maybe literally, maybe figuratively, but then to take it on with a new perspective and with fresh eyes, and to wait and think it over, let the heat of the issue on both sides die down, and then you can find a resolution, then you can resolve the matter. And as it turned out in the situation of Moses, indeed the 250 men and Korach and Aaron the next day all brought incense offerings, and Aaron's was accepted, and the 250 people all died for bringing an incense that wasn't proper, because they were not the ones who were put in the position where they should have brought that incense to begin with. And so we can see from this that, yes, Aaron was truly the one who was supposed to be the Kohen Gadol, and then the rest of the Parsha goes through sort of the laws of Truma, which is a portion of the different sort of maybe produce and animals, whatever it happened to be, that the people would sort of donate or would give over to the Kohanim. Keeping in mind that the Kohanim were only sort of working for the people. They were sort of the public servants in a sense of they were doing the people's work. They didn't have other jobs, they didn't have other ways of income, and so the community therefore had to support them because they were giving service to the community. So I hope each one of us can take from Moses' example the idea of sort of waiting to respond when we are unsure, or when we need to cool down or think about what the proper response is. And I hope all of you have a wonderful week and a Shabbat Shalom.